Talk about the experience. What is it like for you to now be known? You're on the most watched pro wrestling show each and every week, and how has it changed you and changed your life?
Yeah, so I honestly feel like everything kind of happened overnight. I feel like everything initially kind of happened for me in Australia, and that was kind of when, there was the Tiffy Time chance. It was my first real PLE on the main roster. I wasn't really kind of like over with the crowd yet. So going from NXT and it being, it's definitely like smaller than Raw and SmackDown. It's developmental. And I was the champ there. I was on a couple PLEs, but like the PLEs aren't even as big as like the Raw and the SmackDowns that you have every Friday and every Monday. So going from that and then to wrestling in front of thousands of people every single week, it was such a big change for me, and I had no other option but to like adjust quickly. So I am very proud of myself for adjusting that quick, and then Australia happened, and then I kind of, got some confidence behind me, and I just feel very blessed and very grateful to be where I am.
Were you expecting the fans to embrace you like you have? Because when we first interviewed you, you were with NXT. You were, for the lack of a better term, a bad guy, right? I mean, right?
Yeah.
And did you expect the fans to embrace and love you like they have?
No, I was not expecting that at all. I was expecting, like over time, maybe like, I would get some Tiffy Time chants, or, I wasn't even expecting like cheers. I was expecting boos because, I'm like a heel on TV and stuff. So to have like Tiffy Time chants and Tiffy chants and all that, it's super cool and super surreal for me.
For you, and you mentioned certain shows that you've had, what was the one moment for you where you're like, all right, this is what I was meant to do?
For sure, Australia.
Okay.
Like going into that, I was so nervous because I was the rookie. I was like, people aren't gonna know who I am. So it's like my opportunity to really show out. And they were chanting Tiffy Time the whole time. It was so like reassuring for me to be in that position and get that reaction from the crowd.
We had Greg Gagne on the show. He knew right away that you were going to be something big, that you were going to be a star. When we first sat down with you, was with Bully Ray, Bubba Ray Dudley, he knew that you were going to be a star. Was there ever any doubt in your mind that you were going to be at this level?
I don't want to sound like a cocky bitch, but I knew like as soon as I figured out, how to wrestle, how to cut a promo, I knew that this is like something that I really could be good at because of my background, because in gymnastics, all I wanted to do was compete and perform in front of a crowd. And I knew like once I was comfortable with the wrestling and the promos and stuff, I knew I would flourish, and I knew that this would be like the right thing for me.
So for you, what was the most difficult part? Was it the wrestling, or was it being on the microphone and the promo work?
I think like the character stuff, I kind of was like, you know what, we've got to figure this out as soon as possible because I wanted to get on TV. And they told you it was like 2.0 time. And they told you if you get a character, you can be on TV like as soon as possible. So I got that down first. And then the wrestling stuff, I kind of like had a good foundation, I want to say, because of Greg Gagne.
Yeah.
And so that kind of came a little bit easier for me, especially too with my like gymnastics background. So it was definitely, I would say the wrestling part, I'm still trying to learn. Like I'm learning every day. So the wrestling part is definitely the more harder part for me.
Here we're at Fanatics in New York City. Like, is it still new to you, or are you still adjusting? Like that, there's going to be 1,000 people waiting online to meet you and get your autograph.
Yes, it is still like so surreal that people like are actually buying tickets to come and meet me. I still get nervous before I go out and then I meet fans, or like I have these live auctions and stuff like that. So I'm definitely just very grateful to be here.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you here, and thank you so much for the time. What's the one thing that was a little bit different for you going to the main roster that you weren't prepared for?
I always say this, it's the traveling. In NXT, you are in Orlando, you're based in Orlando, you train in Orlando, you have TV in Orlando. With Raw and SmackDown, you're traveling weekly. And it like that's almost the hardest part of all of this is the travel. It's so brutal on your body.
How is the locker room? How is is it like a big family?
Yes, the locker room, honestly, like I was not expecting it just because of like, I feel like the locker room, it used to be a lot more like cattier, I guess you could say, and things have like, everybody loves each other in that locker room. Everybody's sweet to one another. It's cool to be nice. So I definitely think the locker room is such a great place right now.
The one thing I learned when I went to visit NXT is that it was like a team. Like it felt like a team, like, you know, just like any other team on any other sport. Coming from gymnastics, did you feel that same way? And how important is it to have that team, you know, that aspect of it?
I feel like in gymnastics, I never really competed like as a team. It was more individual for me. So, I mean, you have like your people you don't get along with. Like everybody has like a little, you know, tiff here and there. But I definitely think it's important to kind of like have a safe space, especially in the locker room, because, you know, what we do is so stressful. So to be able to come into the locker room and kind of like let loose and talk to the girls about your situation is really nice to have.
The Money in the Bank briefcase, how cool is it to have that, and just the stories you're going to be able to tell by having it?
I love it so much. I love that, you know, they let me pink it out, they let me bedazzle it, they let me add an extra strap so I carry it around like a purse. Yeah, it's amazing.
How hard is it, like, being a WWE superstar, having the look, like, look, I can come to work in jeans and a t-shirt, it's all good. But like in the WWE, you know, being a WWE superstar, the spotlight is always on you, the camera is always on you. How difficult is that?
I wouldn't say that it's difficult. I definitely feel like, you know, when I do go in public, like if I go to Publix, for instance, I feel like I have to always be kind of looking like put together, because you never know if you're going to run into a fan. But I would say like it's really not that difficult. I love like getting dolled up. I love looking like a star. So that part kind of comes easy for me.
Your long range goals. What are your goals now?
Long range goals. I would love to wrestle in Minnesota. I haven't wrestled in Minnesota yet. We have a SmackDown coming up. I think it's December 6th in Minnesota. So that's one of my long range goals. Obviously, cash in, win the title, and have a nice, long, beautiful reign.
All right. I appreciate the time. Have fun today.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.